Hello there, Conversation Explorers. Welcome to a new episode from SimplyEnglishPod.
Hi, everyone. Great to be back. Last time we were looking at how to kick off those conversations with confidence.
That's right. But, starting is just the first step, isn't it? What happens after those first couple of sentences? That's often where things can feel a bit stuck.
Oh, definitely. We hear that a lot, actually. People say, okay, I can say hello, how are you? But then, what? My mind just goes blank. It's a super common hurdle in English.
Right. So today we're going to dive into some really practical techniques to help you keep those conversations flowing smoothly, avoid those awkward silences.
Yeah, we've got 3 main strategies lined up for you.
And the great thing is these aren't about needing to be incredibly witty or like the most interesting person ever.
Not at all. It's more about connection, about showing you're genuinely interested. And honestly, anyone can learn to do that. So ready to figure out how to keep your English chats going?
Absolutely. Let's start with why. Why do conversations sometimes just fizzle out so quickly? What do you think is behind that?
That's a really good starting point. We've looked into this, and often there's this huge internal pressure. You feel like you have to say something brilliant or perfectly phrased in English.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like your brain just freezes up. You're searching for that perfect next question, and poof, nothing. Zip.
Right. And then there's that classic fear, the fear of the silence, that uncomfortable pause where everyone's just looking around.
Yeah, it feels like forever, even if it's only a few seconds.
But here's a thought that might help change your perspective a bit. You don't always have to be the one providing the amazing stories. The real magic often lies in just being genuinely interested in the other person.
That's such a key point, shifting the focus from performing to connecting.
Exactly. It takes so much pressure off you. And the techniques we're sharing today, they give you actual tools, like concrete ways to show that interest, even when you're feeling a bit nervous about your English.
Okay, so let's get into the first one. Technique number 1.
Technique 1 is all about harnessing the power of the follow-up question.
Yes, the conversational detective move. I like this one.
Exactly. It's simple, but so effective. When you ask a good follow-up question, it instantly shows 2 things. 1, you were listening, and 2, you want to know more. They're like little bridges keeping the conversation moving.
Okay, so let's paint a picture. Someone says, I'm from Brazil. A really typical, maybe slightly less effective response, especially for learners, might just be,
Oh, nice.
right, and then silence.
Yeah, conversation killer potential right there. But imagine instead you follow up with something like, oh, wow, Brazil, which part are you from?
Or maybe, that's fascinating. What's something a visitor absolutely has to experience if they go there?
Good one. Or even something like, how long have you been living away from Brazil?
Or maybe a bit more personal, what do you miss most about it?
These questions invite a much longer answer than just yes or no. They're personal, they're open-ended, they encourage the other person to share a bit more.
And here's a useful little pro tip. Questions starting with what, how, or sometimes why, usually lead to more detailed responses.
That's a really helpful framework. Although, just a small word of caution with why. Depending on the context and tone, it can occasionally make someone feel like they need to defend their answer.
Good point. Need to use why thoughtfully. Okay, so that's the follow-up question technique. Very powerful. What's strategy number 2?
We call it the echo plus expand technique.
Echo and expand. Okay, how does that work?
So it's pretty simple. You take a keyword or phrase the other person just said, that's the echo part.
Got it. Repeat something they said.
And then you add a short comment or maybe a related thought or question of your own. That's the expand part.
Okay, makes sense. Can we have an example?
Sure. Let's say someone tells you, I just started taking online photography classes.
Okay.
Instead of just, oh, cool, you could echo and expand. Online photography classes. That sounds fascinating. I always wondered how professionals get that perfect lighting,
Ah, I see. You repeat online photography classes and then add your own related thought about lighting.
Exactly. Or another one. Someone says, I'm planning a trip to Thailand next month.
You could say, Thailand next month. Wow. I've heard the street food there is supposed to be absolutely incredible.
Perfect. See how it works? You're showing you heard them, and you're adding a little something to keep it going.
What I like about this one, especially if you're still building confidence in English, is that you don't need to invent a totally new topic.
You're building directly on what they just gave you. It feels less pressured.
And you can use this everywhere, can't you? Job interviews, meeting new people, just chatting with a neighbor.
Totally versatile.
Nice. Okay, so we have follow-up questions to show curiosity, and echo plus expand to show you're listening and build on things. What's the third key technique?
Our third technique is about small self-disclosure. This means sharing just a little something about yourself that relates to what the other person mentioned.
Okay, emphasis on small. We're not talking about launching into your entire autobiography here.
Definitely not. Keep it brief. Think of it like offering a little connection point, a small piece of related information about yourself. It helps create that back and forth rhythm, makes it feel less like an interrogation.
Got it. A little tidbit. So examples. Let's say someone says they enjoy cooking.
Okay. A small self-disclosure could be, oh, that's great. I've actually been trying to cook more myself lately. I finally mastered a simple pasta sauce last weekend.
Perfect. Relatable, short, connects to their interest, but doesn't hijack the conversation. What if they mention, say, a movie they liked?
You could say, oh, really? I haven't seen that one yet, but I do love a good sci-fi film. Would you recommend it?
That's clever because you share a tiny bit about your taste liking sci-fi, and then you immediately turn it back to them with another question.
Exactly. It keeps the conversational tennis match going. You hit the ball back gently. Plus, sharing a little something gives them new information they can potentially ask you about later.
So these three things work together. Ask questions, echo and build, share a little connection. Why are these specific techniques so transformative for conversations?
Fundamentally, the follow-up questions signal genuine curiosity. They make the other person feel interesting, and frankly, people like feeling interesting. It makes them want to talk to you more.
True. We all like feeling heard.
Definitely. And the echo plus expand, that's like active listening made visible. It confirms, I'm tracking with you, I understand, which builds that feeling of connection and trust.
It's like sending a signal. I'm present.
Precisely. And the small self-disclosure. That brings balance. It stops the conversation from feeling one-sided like an interview and opens the door for a slightly deeper connection based on something shared.
It really boils down to fundamental human connection stuff, doesn't it? Making people feel comfortable, understood, valued.
Absolutely. These aren't just tricks. They're based on sound communication principles, the psychology of how we connect.
Okay, so we've broken them down. But in a real conversation, you wouldn't just use one, right? You'd mix them up.
The real magic happens when you start weaving them together naturally. Let's take a scenario. Someone you're talking to mentions they enjoy hiking.
Okay, hiking. Let's see the toolkit in action.
Right. You might start with a follow-up. Oh, hiking, that's cool. What kind of trails do you usually prefer, like mountains, forests?
Good start. Get specific. Then what?
Maybe the answer is, say, mountain trails, and you could use echo plus expand. Ah, mountain trails. Hiking is brilliant, isn't it? I've heard it's amazing for clearing your head.
Okay, you've acknowledged their preference and added a related benefit. Nice.
Then maybe transition to a small self-disclosure. You know, I tried hiking properly for the first time last summer, just at a local park. Honestly, it was way tougher than I thought it would be.
I see how that flows. Question, listen, expand, share a relatable bit. It feels much more like a dance than a list of questions.
Exactly. Mixing these keeps it dynamic and stops it feeling formulaic or awkward.
Let's make it even more real. How about a quick mini role play? Imagine we're, say, at a language exchange event. Ready?
Let's do it. Role play starts. Hi there. First time at this meetup.
Yeah, it is actually. I just moved to the city for work a few weeks ago and, well, figured this would be a good way to practice my English and maybe meet some people.
Oh, wow. Welcome to the city. That's a big step. Where did you move from, if you don't mind me asking?
I came from Wellington.
Oh.
It's definitely different here in Christchurch. Still getting used to it all.
Wellington to Christchurch. Yeah, that is quite a shift. I visited Wellington a couple of years back. Really liked how you could walk everywhere in the city center.
Oh, tell me about it. I miss that walkability so much. I actually had to buy a car pretty much straight away when I got here.
Huh. I totally get that. I had a similar thing when I first moved here myself. Coming from a place with great public transport, it definitely takes some adjustment.
Really? How long did it take you to sort of feel settled in and used to driving everywhere?
Roleplay ends.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pause there, see how that went. We had questions, echoing Wellington to Christchurch, expanding, liking the compact center, sharing a similar experience moving transport, which then naturally led you to ask another follow-up question.
Yeah, it felt really smooth. It wasn't just me answering questions. It felt like a proper exchange, balanced.
And that's the goal. It's also really great hearing from listeners who put these ideas into practice. We've had some amazing success stories.
Yes, I remember Takeshi from Japan messaged us. He said after focusing on follow-up questions for just like 2 weeks, he managed a full 30-minute conversation purely in English. He was thrilled.
That's fantastic. And remember, Maria from Colombia, she mentioned using echo plus expand during a job interview. She wasn't always 100% sure she caught everything, so she gently echoed what she did understand and add a comment.
And she got the job, right?
She did. She felt it really helps build rapport with the interviewer.
Incredible. And these aren't just lucky one-offs, are they? This is what happens when you actively practice these skills.
Absolutely. Consistent practice makes a huge difference.
Now some phrases for echo plus expand.
You mentioned hiking in Australia. That reminds me of the beautiful trails I saw in documentaries about their national parks.
You work in digital marketing. That sounds really interesting.
So you've been learning to play the piano for 2 years. I've always wondered about how difficult it is to learn as an adult.
And finally, some natural ways to do that small self-disclosure.
I had a similar experience when I moved to Sydney last year. The first few months were quite challenging till I found a good community.
I'm not very familiar with cryptocurrency investing, but I'd love to learn more about how you got started with it.
Paddleboarding on weekends, that's something I've been wanting to try too. Did you need lessons at the beginning?
Now, just one more quick tip before we wrap up. It's subtle but really important, especially in English. Intonation.
Oh yeah, the music of your voice. This can seriously change how your questions land, especially with those follow-up questions. You want your voice to go up slightly at the end. It signals curiosity, invites them to keep talking.
Listen to the difference. Where are you from? Sounds a bit bored, maybe.
Yeah, almost like a statement. But where are you from? With that little lift. Sounds much more interested. And it applies to those little responses too, like, really? Or, oh yeah, said. With a rising tone, they show you're actively listening and want more details.
So pay attention, practice it. It makes a huge difference in sounding approachable and genuinely interested in English.
So the key takeaway here really is that great conversations aren't about perfection. They're about genuine connection.
Absolutely. So to quickly recap those 3 powerful tools, get curious with follow-up questions.
Show you're listening by echoing and expanding.
And build connection by sharing small, relevant things about yourself.
And we've got a little challenge for you this week. Try this. In every English conversation you have, make a conscious effort to use at least one follow-up question. Just one to start. See how it changes things.
Yeah, notice the difference. And please let us know how you get on. Share your experiences or any insights with us online. We love hearing from you.
And looking ahead, our next episode tackles something just as crucial. How to end a conversation gracefully without awkwardness. Because wrapping things up smoothly is a skill too.
Oh, that's a good one. So make sure you join us for that. And hey, if you have other communication challenges or topics you would like us to cover, drop us a line. We're always looking for ideas.
Thanks again for tuning in to Simply English Pod, your place for learning real, natural English communication.
Catch you next time on Simply English Pod, your path to confident English.